Gold FM.
A very good evening. This is Avinindra Som and you're listening to the news in detail on Gold FM. In your news headlines this evening, electricity trade unions call off strike action. Litro gas prices hiked, food costs to follow suit. Former ministers' appeals heard, verdict soon. Bodies of Iranian sailors to be repatriated through Iranian embassy. Substandard coal not affecting Norochala is a mood theory, insists expert. 3 more ships struck in Strait of Hormuz amidst accusations of laying mines. SL Afghanistan tour scheduled in UAE postponed to late 2026.
The top story on Gold FM.
The importation of coal allegedly of lower standards than required is an accusation that is well publicized at this point. Now, despite government assurances that substandard coal is not affecting the Norochala power plant, experts are sounding the alarm. Documents from the Public Utilities Commission suggest the plant is struggling, and the reality on the ground points to a looming energy crisis. Energy expert Dr. Vidura Ralapanava explains that the low-quality fuel is already causing a massive drop in the plant's output.
So the PUCSL report actually gives diagrams in that report which show that certain temperature sensors that are showing values that are outside the normal operating range, and it's struggling to run with this coal and generate electricity to its full capacity. In fact, the report very clearly points out that out of the 9 shipments that they analyzed, none of them could generate the 300 megawatt that is the capacity of this power plant. And we historically, I don't remember a single instance going back to at least 10 years that we have had coal that did not allow the plant to generate a 300 megawatt. There is a problem, whatever government says, this quality, bad quality coal has been shown to have problems in the plant.
The substandard coal is physically damaging the machinery, as it lacks the
so
proper...
what happens is coal pieces come through a feeding well.
As it lacks the proper grindability, it's clogging the very systems designed to feed the generator.
So what happens is coal pieces come through a feeding belt and it gets ground into fine particles before being fed into the combustion chamber. So there are, for each coal unit, there are 5 grinding mills. What happened on Wednesday night around 11 o'clock, 2 of the grinding mills out of 5 in unit 3 got clogged. And this is, the plant engineers think that this is because the quality of coal is bad, the grindability is lower than what we need. Now suddenly you have a drastic drop. Instead of 300, they are actually generating 277 because 30 megawatts is used for internal equipment. This dropped to 160 megawatts immediately, right within an hour.
Now, compounding these mechanical failures is a ticking time clock on the supply chain. The government insists the required coal is on its way, but with global shipping disrupted by war, Dr. Ralapanava points out the sheer math of getting enough shipments to the island has already collapsed.
What that means is 1st of March we should have got 1 ship on unloading start, 6th of March, 11th of March, 16th of March, 1st of March, 26th of March. So 6 ships should come within March. Now let's look at what has happened. I believe the first ship for March only came on 3rd. The second ship should have started unloading on 6th, but it hasn't come yet. I think probably come tomorrow or something. But the third ship, suppliers asked for more time because they are unable to find vessels because of the war. Sail from South Africa on the 11th. It takes 14 days for it to reach Sri Lanka. So that means the earliest we can start unloading ship number 3 out of 6 that has to be unloaded in March. We'll only start unloading it on 25th of March. So really, if you look at it, it's not possible to unload even 4 ships in March. So the basic math fails.
These shipment delays are critical because Sri Lanka relies on barrages unloading coal at sea, a process that becomes dangerously impossible once the monsoon season hits.
Now, we cannot really unload coal after the 30th of April because the monsoon starts and the ocean becomes very choppy. How we unload the coal is the coal ship is anchored in the deep sea, and we send barges basically parked next to the coal ship, and coal ship drops the coal into the barge. When the sea is unstable, the coal ship and barge cannot sit next to each other, and therefore it cannot be unloaded. So this is why coal has to be unloaded by 30th of April. By the looks of it, we may miss minimum 5 ships from my estimation out of the 25. Now each ship, if we are feeding to all 3 power plants, is consumed in 8 days. So if we miss 5 ships, we miss 40 days worth of coal. Now since we can't run the system with all 3 coal plants not functioning, what will happen is we will have to shut down one plant for 4 months.
So, with mechanical failures, a disrupted supply chain and an unforgiving weather deadline, what does this mean for the Sri Lankan public? According to Dr. Alapanava, the official government stance is masking a very real threat.
So their whole idea is that because no actual is working properly, we have to accept that there is a risk of power failures. As I mentioned previously, risk of power failures requires a certain set of conditions to come, including rainfall as well as plant failures. But I can tell you there's an elevated risk of power failures simply because we can't get the coal supply that we need, and there is a risk to the coal plant machinery. But both facts that they are saying are not true. We have to be open and say they are not true. One is coal plant is running functioning without a problem is not true. Second, that we are able to bring in all the coal required for the season is also not true.
With the highest energy demand months of April and May approaching, it remains to be seen how the grid will cope under the mounting pressure.
This is the local news on Gold FM.
Power sector trade unions today decided to end a 2-day strike after discussions with Labour Ministry officials this afternoon. The decision comes after nearly 15,000 electricity breakdowns across the island left residents in numerous areas without power. Union leaders confirmed that technical teams will now work to restore the supply immediately. The industrial action involving 24 trade unions began following concerns over the job security of employees after the dissolution of the Ceylon Electricity Board. Workers claim they received no official documentation regarding new appointments or future placements within successor companies. During the standoff, Energy Ministry Secretary Professor Udayanga Hemapala warned that criminal charges remain a possibility under the Essential Services Act. While successor companies issued orders for staff to report to work, the CV Engineers Association raised concerns regarding the legal validity of proposed collective agreements. In a letter to the Energy Minister, the association further highlighted threats of suspension and attempts to recruit replacement staff during the dispute. The All-Island Canteen and Restaurant Owners Association announced an immediate increase in food prices effective from midnight, following a sharp rise in litro gas costs. Association Chairman Harshender Rukshan confirmed that milk tea will increase by 10 rupees, plain tea by 5 rupees and fried rice and kottu by 25 rupees, while short eats will see a 10 rupee hike. The price adjustment follows yesterday's state-mandated increase for domestic gas cylinders, with a 12.5 kilogram cylinder now costing 3,990 rupees after a 300 rupee jump. Despite the rising energy costs, the All-Island Bakery Owners Association stated it will not revise the price of bakery products at this time. Meanwhile, long queues persisted at gas outlets across the island as consumers reacted to the new pricing. Addressing concerns over further utility costs, Water Supply Minister Susil Ranasinghe informed Hero News that the government currently holds no plan to increase water tariffs. The Galle Chief Magistrate Samir Rangod ordered the release of bodies of 84 Iranian sailors to the Embassy of Iran in Sri Lanka this morning. The remains, currently stored in mobile cold storage units at the Galle National Hospital, will be repatriated following a formal request by the Galle Harbour Police. This move follows an announcement from the Iranian army stating that 84 of the 104 sailors killed when the United States attacked and sank the IRIS Dana vessel have been identified. Criminal Investigation Department or the CID today submitted a 25-page summary of evidence to the court naming former intelligence chief Suresh Saleh as the third suspect in the Easter Sunday terror attack. Detectives informed the Fort Magistrate that an informant previously provided extremists with details regarding the Katuapitiya church through Saleh. The court also heard allegations that military intelligence failed to act on specific warnings received in March regarding a potential strike by Saharan's group. Magistrate Isurunetti Kumar ordered an immediate investigation into the instructions given by former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa concerning a third DNA test for Pulastini Mahendran, also known as Sarah Jasmine. Investigators seek to determine if these directives aim to steer the probe correctly or conceal evidence. The CID alleged that Saleh exerted significant pressure on the former Inspector General of Police and investigators during Security Council meetings, specifically in the presence of then-President, to conduct this additional testing. Following these submissions, legal counsel for Saleh requested that the court prevent the removal of the suspect from CID custody without prior judicial approval. The Supreme Court of Sri Lanka reserved its judgment today on appeals filed by former ministers Mahinda Nandaluthgamage and Nalin Fernando regarding their previous imprisonment sentences for corruption. This decision followed the conclusion of a 3-day hearing before a 5-judge bench presided over by Justice Preeti Padman Surasena. The court intends to deliver the final verdict on a later date.
Now for some news in brief.
A warm weather advisory was issued for the western, Savaragamu, southern and northwestern provinces as well as the Munragala and Mannar districts, with the heat index expected to reach the caution level tomorrow.
The business news on Gold FM.
The all-share price index of the Colombo Stock Exchange declined 26.97 points to close at 22,351.55 points. The S&P SL20 index also declined 0.72 points to close at 6,279.70 points. Total market turnover was 4.3 billion rupees. Oil prices slightly rose today following reports that the International Energy Association proposed the largest release of strategic reserves in history to stabilize markets. Brent futures rose by 3.42% to $90.08 a barrel, while US West Texas Intermediate rose 3.42% to trade at $86.30 a barrel.
International news on Gold FM.
Iran has claimed responsibility for 2 attacks on commercial vessels in the Strait of Hormuz today, according to a statement from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The IRGC said the Thai-flagged bulk carrier Mayurinari was fired upon after it allegedly, quote, disregarded warnings and insistently attempted to illegally pass through the Strait of Hormuz, unquote. A second vessel, the Liberian-flagged Express Rome, was also struck by Iranian projectiles after the IRGC described as the ship ignoring warnings from the IRGC Navy. Tracking data from Maritime Analytics provided marine traffic showed that both vessels had been operating in the strait earlier today. Maritime security officials say the incidents are a part of a sharp escalation in attacks on commercial shipping across the region.
Entertainment news on Gold FM.
Italy acquired a rare portrait by Baroque master Caravaggio for 30 million euros, marking one of the largest sums the state ever paid for a single artwork. The Culture Ministry confirmed the purchase of the 1598 painting yesterday.
Sports news on Gold FM.
The Afghanistan Cricket Board confirmed the postponement of the upcoming white ball series against Sri Lanka today due to the escalating military conflict. Chief Executive Nasib Khan cited severe disruptions to flights and logistics alongside regional instability as the primary reason for the delay. And that's all the news for now. This is Avinindra Soma for Gold FM News. Have a great evening.